Hello, we are here with Rachelle Pellissier, the Executive Director of the Crisis Call Center. And I'm so excited to be able to share everything that she does and the center does with you. So, have at it.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Marika, for joining us. We're so excited to talk about Crisis Support Services of Nevada and the new national 988 number. I call it like the behavioral health 911, although it works a little bit different. It's a national number that you can call, or anyone can call, in a behavioral health crisis, and we help you through that crisis. We're here 24/7, 365, here answering the call for anyone in a behavioral health crisis.
I love this so much. So you recently had an annual breakfast that I attended, and over 300 people at the Atlantis, and it was a beautiful breakfast. And the speaker had asked everybody who knew someone who has committed suicide. And unfortunately, the entire room, including myself, raised our hands. And so it doesn't have to be this way. And the Crisis Call Center is here to help stop that before it gets to that point. Not just the victims, but the families around are impacted.
Really important thing. Most people think we're here only for someone who is experiencing the behavioral health crisis. And really, we're also here for the family members. We know when our loved one is in a crisis, we are in a crisis, especially if it's a child or even if they're adult children. You know, we're all in a crisis. And when someone's in a crisis, I kind of call it crisis brain. It's really hard to think straight and to help yourself at that point. So your family members, your loved ones, are really the ones that can help you when you're in that crisis. Very similar to a physical issue. We know we need, when we go to the hospital, we really need an advocate there to be listening for us and to be helping us make sure we know all the details and get us the help we need. Well, we also need that in a behavioral health crisis. We really need that advocate. And we here at Crisis Support Services of Nevada will be that advocate for people, both the families and the person in crisis. And again, we do that 24/7.
I love this. So a typical person calling, I know you serve a wide range of people. So for everyone listening, what's the type of person that can call? When's a good sign to call? 988. That's the number to get stuck in your head.
Yes. We all remember 911, right? And that started back in the 70s. There was no 911, and we had to get used to that. But we all know that now. We don't even think twice. If there's a problem, we dial 911. We want to get to that same place with 988 when we're in a behavioral health crisis. And if that crisis is you're feeling so out of sorts, or you're feeling in so much mental health pain that suicide seems like the best alternative to get out of that pain. And again, I talked about that crisis brain. Your brain's telling you that that's your only option, you know.
And even if you're not feeling suicidal, if you're not at that point yet, but you're lost.
Yeah,
you can call.
And most people don't know that either. The best suicide prevention is to get help before you get to that imminent risk of suicide. So if you're feeling out of sorts, your child, your loved one is feeling out of sorts, you can call us, you know, before it feels like your only option is suicide.
Confidential.
Yeah, it's very confidential. Unless you're at, you're at real risk of suicide, then we're going to, just like anyone who's at risk of dying, we would call 911 for someone in a health issue if they were at risk of dying, right? Yes. We would call 911 immediately. So we also are going to get you help if you're at immediate risk of death. We're going to get you that help. But otherwise, we don't know who you are when you call in. We might see your phone number. Yes. And we helped over 87,000 people, both by text and by phone call last year. And all 87,000 of those people got to that crisis situation in a different manner. Different traumas in their life, different, some might have addiction issues. Some might have been abused or victimized in some way, and that trauma has gotten them to a dark place where they just don't feel like they can go on anymore. Any of those issues. So whatever your crisis is your crisis.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to tell you, oh, that's not a crisis. Call someone else. Whatever the situation is, your loved one or yourself are just feeling out of sorts, we want to help you. We want you to call 988 so that we can help you. We can help you in that moment. Sometimes people have resources, but they're just in that moment, don't know if they can make it through. Mm-hmm. So we help them at that point. Some people haven't gotten any resources. They've never gotten any help. So if that's the case, we do our little de-escalation. We help you to get calm and into a place where then we can refer you. We can be that advocate to get you to the right services that you need.
I love this. So I just want you to share the origins, like from where you started, the original, and then just get to the goal of, what's the next goal of where are you going?
Perfect. Well, I love to tell this story. We actually started in 1966, before all the technology that we just take for granted today, where there was only one phone line and it was a landline. There was no technology like that in each of our houses. And we started as an outreach program of UNR, and our first office was in a phone booth of the UNR library. We have pictures of it. I love to show it because a lot of people don't even know what a phone booth is.
Right.
But it was a 24 hours, all volunteer suicide prevention hotline. They started it because of the high rate of suicide in Nevada. We've always had that unfortunate high rate of suicide, and we were number one in the rate of suicide per capita for many years. So the pioneers in northern Nevada way back in 1966 started this 24-hour volunteer crisis line.
So awesome.
It's so awesome. We're the second oldest call center in the nation, right behind Didi Hirsch in Los Angeles, that big population. So it tells you what kind of pioneers we had back then. I'm so proud of that history. And then we fast forward today, where we've got staff and volunteers all over the state. We are the statewide crisis call center, and we're also one of only 12 national crisis call centers. So we not only answer the call for all Nevadans, we answer the call across the United States, and we're very, very proud of that.
So cool. Good for you guys.
Yeah, so awesome. It's really wonderful. And then with 988, luckily in Nevada, we've been planning for a behavioral health crisis response system for many years. And then 988 came up federally, that we needed this 3-digit number to make it easy to get help in a behavioral health crisis. So when that happened, that's just the first step in this national crisis response system that includes a call center, a place to call. After that, mobile teams, very similar to EMTs or paramedics that for physical health. This would be mobile teams for behavioral health with a clinician and a peer. And then the third prong in that crisis response system will be what's called crisis stabilization centers. And those will be more like drop-in centers for when you're in crisis and you just need that help. It will be more like a living room setting that you come in and there are clinicians and peers, so cool. And you get the help you need. Because we all know when you're in a behavioral health crisis, you don't need to be handcuffed and taken to an emergency room and put in a hospital gown and strapped to a gurney. Quite frankly, that's more boy, if you weren't in crisis before, you are now, you know. So what you really need is just help from someone. And usually it's a mobile, you know, we can de-escalate about 98% of the people who call us. We don't need to send a team to them. But for those we can't, we want to send someone to their home, or if they're out on the street, or if wherever they are in crisis, we want to send a mobile team to help them through that. And then we want a place for them to be able to go that isn't the emergency room, that is just there for behavioral health situations to evaluate, and if someone needs more than 23 hours of care, to send that, you know, hand them off to the next provider that can help that person. So that's long range. 988 was the first step of that program that we're building across the nation. So very exciting as we build this behavioral health system that Nevadans and citizens across the nation so vitally need.
Yes, I love it. It's awesome. It's so amazing that you guys are doing this. It's such a great step.
It's so gratifying
such a great resource.
to really be, because there's a lot of people, we all know that, you know, COVID brought out a lot of anxiety and pain and stress, and it also, the silver lining of COVID is we started talking about mental health. Before COVID, we did not talk about any of this. That's why it's so stigmatized. You weren't allowed to, and if you did say something, they'd say, oh, you're just acting out, or you're, you know,
now it's COVID's fault.
pull yourself up by the bootstrap, you know, and because of COVID, it gave us that awareness that we have to stop. This is normal and natural for our brain health, you know, like our physical health. And we need to talk about that. We need to help our loved ones when they're through that. So the silver lining of COVID was actually talking about mental health and getting systems in place, because it's something that we need to deal with. You know, we know our youth is really struggling with their mental health after COVID. We can't fix that, and I'm not saying that we had to do what we had to do back then, but the ramifications, the good thing is we started talking about it, but the bad thing is we're all having a hard time. There's not a one of us that isn't feeling anxious, you know, with everything going on in our world today. So it gives us the ability to talk about that, and it gives youth the ability to know that there's always somewhere to call if they need that help. And we're going to help them to get through the situation, to get, you know, maybe speak to their parents, because they might not know how to speak to their parents, you know. You know, we'll get on the phone with the youth, and it takes, you could imagine, it takes a little bit of finesse that we're trained in to get that youth to know that we really want to get them help. And sometimes it's the parent, sometimes, unfortunately, it's not the parent, and we're here to help through that too. What does that look like? What is that? How can we get whomever is calling us the help and the support that they need?
Yes, I love that. I love that it's empowering to move through it rather than enabling the issue.
Right.
Empowered to become and thrive rather than stay where they're at.
What I tell most people don't understand, mostly what we do is listen. People are so relieved. We're not clinicians. We're just well-trained crisis intervention specialists. So the biggest thing we do is listen, and it is such a relief. You can hear it in their voices that someone is listening to them,
human being,
and giving them empathy and saying what you're feeling is normal. Let me help you with that. Let me help you to either help yourself or help your loved ones. But we don't fix it for them. We can't fix someone else's, but we're really good at listening and then helping them to help themselves, to safety plan for themselves, whether that's short-term safety planning or long-term safety planning. Get them into the resources they need, but mostly get them through the crisis in the moment, and that saves lives. So very exciting. I find it gratifying. I got a report from a caller who actually went beyond just our frontline answer to the phone. We also have case management staff. We get you through the crisis, and then we hand you off to a case manager to investigate and assess what kind of services you need.
Nice.
We talked about those 87,000 people who called us last year or texted us. They had 87,000 different things that they needed.
Wow.
You know, so you kind of have to assess, do you need some addiction help? Do you need, a therapist? Do you need inpatient? Whatever it is, do you just need housing so that you can support your family and you're not completely stressed out about not being able to feed your family? What is it? What is the help you need? And we have case management staff that assess that and then get them the support they need. And so and every once in a while, our callers or our texters will call us back and say, and tell us, we're here again today. I'm here this morning because I talked to your angels. They usually say something like that last night, and that's why I'm here today. But today's was about the case management staff, and that they'd worked with our case management staff. They'd called in because you can't. As we all know, our system is kind of convoluted right now. So it very rarely is it in one call that we figure out everything you need and, get you into all those resources. So it was someone that we worked with, several times to get them. And he called just to say, your case management staff is so phenomenal. And I could tell they cared, and it made me want to live. Those kind of statements is just like, oh, okay, this is why we do this work.
Yes.
This is why we do this work. Thank you. Celebrate that beauty.
It is. Celebrate, every victory, every win, for sure.
Yes.
Very cool. I love it. Thank you so much for being here and doing this and sharing. Anything else that you'd like to add?
Just share 988 with your friends and family and loved ones. Call it. We're here. It's not stressful to call. It's like kind of that first step we talk about, take that first step. You'll appreciate it. So share the availability of 988 and that first step in getting behavioral health care.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. So remember to think of Rachelle, the Crisis Center. I'll post the information. And then remember to think of me for not only helping you with your real estate needs, but also showing you the best parts of Northern Nevada. Thank you.